what you think is burnt chips in your bag. And that's from way back in 2001. And now that's 24 years ago. So you know. Okay, and then the final thing is the retrieval practice makes it more likely that you will be able to remember the information in the future. So I just gave you some information from 2001, and we are literally, it's almost 24 years old. In April, May timeframe, it will actually be 24 years old because I actually learned the process. And as I mentioned, when COVID showed up, because I ran a traffic center, I understand supply chain, I went straight to the grocery store managers and asked them when their trucks are coming. And that's how we ended up going to Winco, because during that time, Winco was getting a truck every day. Other grocery stores were getting trucks once or twice a week. Also found out which grocery stores were mean to their suppliers because they were the ones that didn't get their resupply on time. So they were going to show up. So take care of your essential workers when it's not essential, because they will prioritize you when it is essential. So take care of people. People don't know you care until you show you care. So that is what takes place. So if you think about the things that you've actually learned on your life versus the ones where you skip steps, memorized it, and said, I'm not going to use this shit. And I didn't know. I thought I was going to stay in the Army for 20 years. Thought I was going to retire from Frito-Lay, and I didn't. So because of that, I learned all of that information, and I still use the information, even though I'm no longer part of those organizations. And the last one is number 10. I'm probably going to get some people chiming in, and that's okay. I don't take issue with that. I'm here for a healthy debate. Stop multitasking. Stop multitasking. Okay, so multitasking can make learning less effective. It's actually called task jumping. And so if you read the book Brain Rules again, you will find that the brain is not actually multitasking. It is known as task jumping. And it causes you more mental energy to remember where to pick up on than to just complete the task at hand. So when working, this not only makes you less productive, it impairs your attention and reduces your comprehension. So here's what you think multitasking is. You think multitasking is, I'm going to do some emails, I'm going to write up something, and I'm going to be on a conference call at the same time. And whatever you are currently focused on is the only thing that you're paying attention to. And so if you think that you're going to check some emails, and then you're going to listen to the call, or you're going to write something down, every time you go back to that task, you have to remember, now where was I? Now where was I? Now, where was I? Now, multitasking sounds good because it was developed by capitalists to say, oh, you can do more things at once. And the more things you do, the more of a multitasker you are. But your brain is like, listen, pick a damn task. Which one? So you are less effective because you got to keep going, where was I? Now, where was I? But if you just do the emails, you're going to be more efficient. If you just listen to the Zoom call, and trust me, I was on conference calls, like it ain't time for me to talk, fuck it, I ain't listening. I get it. I understand that. But when it's you having to do it for you and your best, you actually need to be focused on that. Because what I've also learned is that when people are on conference calls, if you listen to what everybody else is saying, you're going to need that information for a future event. But if you decided you wasn't paying attention, and also what you can do, because everybody knows until it's your turn to talk that you ain't paying attention, when you have your region meetings and everybody has to come together and you talk to those people and say, yeah, on that conference call, blah, 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 blah. What made you blah, blah, blah? Now you've connected to a person in a different way because they was like, damn, you was listening to that boring ass report. I sure was. Now, I do have a question about this. And so now you have somebody who's like, oh, okay, Dr. Donna, yeah, what you need? Because you just never know when you are going to need something from that person. So it makes sense to establish real, authentic relationships with people. And if someone is passionate, Tony Bertoya, who worked at Frito-Lay, was passionate about finance. And he was so passionate about it. And when I did my dissertation, I did it on the Robert Northouse path goal theory. I had to interview the leadership team as part of my dissertation research. And when I was sitting talking to him, he literally he's the one who told me about the calibration process. He said, there's no punishment. He said, your children are veering off course and you need to just calibrate them to put them back on course. And Nola was not even, she probably was in kindergarten, because she started first grade in Alabama. So she was 5. So he told me about that process when she was 5 years old. And we use that process. And that's how I use that process instead of punishment, timeouts and all of that, because it was much more effective. But if I hadn't have had worked on my dissertation, if I hadn't said, well, what is Tony going to tell me? He's finance. I don't really need him. If I hadn't had that conversation with him, I wouldn't have had calibration as the process to use to raise my daughter. So that's why you pay attention